My wife texted, "Stuck late at work. Love you." She didn't know I was already in the same restaurant 2 tables away, watching her kiss another man, like our 12 years meant nothing. I remember staring at the glow of my phone while her laugh floated across the room. It used to be my favorite sound. That night, it felt like somebody dragging a fork across a plate, sharp and ugly. She leaned in toward him in that little corner booth, her hand on his forearm, his expensive suit jacket folded over the seat beside him. Then she kissed him slow and comfortable like it wasn't the first time, and she wasn't wearing my wedding ring. My name is Austin Reynolds. I'm 42 years old, born and raised in Tempe, Arizona. I'm a regional sales director for Summit Construction Equipment, managing the Southwest Territory covering Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. I fix other people's problems when their equipment breaks down and their projects fall behind schedule. My life was structured, predictable, and I thought solid. For 12 years, I've been married to Jessica. Sunday mornings were always the same. Her in the kitchen at 6:30, brewing coffee in that expensive Breville machine we got for our anniversary. Me at the island with my iPad, checking market reports and territory numbers while pretending to read the news. We'd head to Desert Ridge Community Church for the 10-hour service, sit 4 rows from the back, and nod at the same faces we'd been nodding at for years. Fridays I went to Copper Blues for poker night with the guys from various sales territories. We'd play for 20s and 50s, talk about quarterly numbers, client nightmares, vacation plans, and whose marriage was hitting rough patches. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. 12 years wasn't a mistake. It was a career. It was mornings with dark roast and market updates, Sundays at Desert Ridge praying for our quarterly bonuses, and Fridays at Copper Blues, where I'd bluff my way through poker like I bluff my way through difficult client relationships. That's the life I thought I still had the night she sent that text. It was a Thursday in late October, the kind of Arizona evening where the heat finally breaks and you remember why people move here. I'd spent the day in client meetings, driving between Phoenix and Tucson, dealing with a contractor whose excavator had blown a hydraulic line right in the middle of a commercial foundation pour. The repair would cost $12,000 and delay the project 3 days. I'd spent 4 hours on conference calls with the insurance adjusters, project managers, and one very unhappy general contractor. By 6:30, I was beat. I called Jessica on my way back into Phoenix. "Hey, you want to grab dinner somewhere?" I asked. "I'm not in the mood to cook, and I sure don't feel like picking up Ty again." Her voice came over the Bluetooth, light but a little rushed. "I wish, honey. We're slammed tonight. Pierce is running behind on the Landmark City deal. I'll probably be stuck late at work. Love you. Pierce, Bradford Pierce. Senior partner at Pierce, Cross & Associates, the law firm where Jessica worked as marketing director. I'd met him twice at company functions. Tall, silver-haired, the kind of confident that comes from never having to worry about money or consequences. She said, 'Love you,' like she always did. Automatic and warm. I didn't think twice. I just said, 'All right, don't work too hard,' and hung up. Traffic on the 101 was backed up because somebody couldn't figure out how to merge properly at the Scottsdale Road exit. So I ended up taking surface streets through Old Town Scottsdale. I was hungry and tired and didn't want fast food out of a paper bag. The Four Seasons sat there on the corner, all glass and steel gleaming against the desert sunset. It's where Jessica and I went for our 5th anniversary when we still dressed up for things and thought 12 years was forever. I pulled into valet without thinking much about it. The kid who took my keys looked like he was barely old enough to drive, but he handled my Audi like it was his own. Inside, the restaurant smelled like grilled Wagyu and truffle oil, the kind of place where people close deals worth more than most people's houses. The hostess, a polished woman in her 30s with the kind of smile that comes with hospitality training, greeted me warmly. "Just one this evening, sir?" "Yeah, just me," I said, and it sounded strange coming out of my mouth. After 12 years of marriage, I'd forgotten what it felt like to eat dinner alone in a nice restaurant. She sat me near the window overlooking the pool, where the underwater lights made everything look blue and peaceful. I took off my jacket, draped it over the back of the chair, and let my shoulders relax for the first time all day. The server, a young guy with perfectly styled hair and the kind of enthusiasm that suggested good tips, brought me a menu and asked about drinks. I ordered a ribeye, medium rare, with asparagus and roasted potatoes. A Macallan 18, neat. The kind of meal I used to order when celebrating a big sale, back when Jessica would join me, and we'd split dessert like newlyweds. My phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. Someone had endorsed me for strategic sales leadership. I checked it out of habit more than interest. In my business, networking never sleeps. That's when I heard it. Jessica's laugh. You have to understand, after more than a decade, you know that sound better than your own heartbeat. I could have picked it out in a crowded stadium during March Madness. It's the sound that greeted me every morning for 12 years. The sound that made me fall in love with her when we were both 20-something kids who thought we had life figured out. I froze, the Macallan halfway to my lips. The hair on my arm stood up under my dress shirt. I told myself, don't be stupid. Lots of people laugh like that. Lots of women in this city work in marketing and wear their hair the way she does. But then I looked up from my phone and my world tilted sideways. There she was, in a corner booth back to the wall, like she always preferred when we ate out together. Her hair was pulled up the way she did for important client meetings, little wisps falling around her face in that style she'd practiced in our bathroom mirror 1,000 times. She wasn't in her usual business casual. She was in that black cocktail dress she bought for the company Christmas party last year, the one that cost more than my monthly car payment. Across from her sat the man I'd seen in her firm's marketing materials, Bradford Pierce himself, tall, silver-haired, still in his charcoal Armani suit with the kind of tie that costs what most people spend on groceries. His jacket was folded neatly beside him, sleeves rolled up just enough to look casually elegant. This wasn't a working dinner between colleagues discussing marketing strategies and client acquisition. Her hand rested on his forearm, thumb tracing slow circles through his shirt sleeve. The gesture was intimate, familiar, the kind of unconscious touch that comes from repetition. He said something, leaning closer, and she laughed again. This time her head tipped back in that way. I used to love when it was my stupid joke making her happy, when I was the one who could light up her face like that. My heart didn't just sink. It clenched tight and cold like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed everything vital until it stopped working properly. I heard my fork clink against the china before I realized I'd dropped it, the sound sharp and final in the ambient noise of clinking glasses and quiet conversation. I could have stood up right then. I could have marched over, made a scene, thrown my drink, demanded explanations. Whatever people do in those trashy reality shows, Jessica watches on Thursday nights. Instead, I sat there and watched my own life split in half like a foundation cracking under too much weight. The server appeared beside my table. "Everything okay, sir? Need anything else?" I swallowed hard, my throat feeling like I'd been breathing desert sand. "No, thanks. I'm fine." My voice sounded 2 sizes too small, like it was coming from someone else's mouth. I turned my chair just enough that I could see them in the reflection of the window, instead of staring straight at them like some obsessed stalker. The pool lights cast everything in blue shadows, making their reflection look like figures in a dream. I watched him reach across the table, take her hand in both of his. Watched her smile soften into something private and tender, the expression I thought belonged only to me. Then she leaned across the table, and they kissed. Not a quick peck, not a good meeting, see you tomorrow, kind of professional goodbye. Slow, comfortable, practiced like they'd done it 100 times before in 100. Different places while I was home, watching Netflix and thinking everything was fine. Like the wedding ring on her finger was just expensive decoration, meaningless jewelry she wore out of habit. For a second, everything went completely quiet. I didn't hear the clatter of silverware, the jazz quartet playing too softly over the speakers, the hostess laughing at somebody's joke at the front desk. All I heard was my own pulse hammering in my ears like machinery about to break down, and the tiny sharp sound of my teeth grinding together hard enough to crack. My phone was still in my hand from checking that LinkedIn notification. I stared down at it, at our last string of texts from that afternoon. Her asking if I could pick up groceries on my way home. Me telling her about the hydraulic line disaster in Tucson. Her sending me a heart emoji with "drive safe, love you." Normal married couple text messages about mundane life details sent while she was probably planning this dinner, this betrayal, this destruction of everything we'd built together. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was 12 years of trusting her completely with my heart, my money, my future. Maybe it was all those working late nights that suddenly lined up like evidence in a case file I'd been too blind to read. Maybe it was the sheer audacity of her texting me, stuck late at work, while she was 2 tables away, kissing another man in the same restaurant where we'd celebrated our anniversary. Maybe I just wanted her to feel even a fraction of the shock that was ripping through me like electricity, shorting out every assumption I'd ever made about my life. I opened the camera app on my iPhone. My fingers, usually steady from years of handling million-dollar equipment negotiations and high-pressure client presentations, shook like I was having some kind of medical episode. I angled the phone toward their booth, using the window's reflection to line up the shot so they wouldn't see the flash or notice what I was doing. My thumb hovered over the capture button for what felt like an hour but was probably half a second. I thought, don't do this. Just pay your bill and leave. Be the bigger person. Walk away with your dignity intact. Then I heard her laugh again, soft and full and completely genuine for him, not for me. Never for me anymore, apparently. I hit the shutter. The phone made that quiet little camera sound, but to me, it echoed like the crack of a tree splitting down the middle in a lightning storm, like the sound of something breaking that could never be put back together. I opened our message thread. Her last words to me stared back from the screen. Stuck late at work. Love you. 3 hours ago. 3 hours of me thinking she was buried in paperwork and client proposals, while she was actually here, in this restaurant, kissing Bradford Pierce like I didn't exist. I typed slowly, my hands shaking so badly I had to delete and retype. Twice. Work hard tonight. Simple. Innocent. The kind of supportive husband message that wouldn't raise suspicions if anyone else saw it. Then I attached the photo. Her hand on his arm, his face angled toward hers, like they were the only 2 people in the world, her wedding ring catching the restaurant lighting as she touched another man with the familiarity of long practice. The image was crystal clear, undeniable, devastating. My thumb hovered over send for what felt like an eternity. My whole hand was trembling now, adrenaline coursing through my system, like I was about to jump out of an airplane. Every rational part of my brain screamed warnings. Think about this. Once you send this, there's no going back. Your marriage will be over. Everything changes. But the rational part of my brain had been overruled by something colder, harder, more final. She'd already ended our marriage. She'd just forgotten to tell me. I pressed send. For a moment, nothing happened. The restaurant continued its quiet symphony of conversation and clinking glasses. The jazz quartet moved into something slower, more melancholy. A couple at a nearby table laughed at some private joke, completely unaware that someone's world was ending 20 feet away. Then I heard it, the little ding of her phone receiving a message. That sound had announced good news, bad news, grocery lists, and sweet nothings between us for 12 years. Tonight, it announced the end of everything. I heard the tiny intake of breath from across the restaurant, like air hissing out of a punctured tire, our marriage deflating in one small, sharp sound. She didn't see me right away. I watched her body stiffen, every muscle suddenly alert like prey sensing a predator. She reached into her purse with the quick, automatic gesture of someone expecting a routine message, pulled out her phone, and glanced at the screen. Even from 2 tables away, I saw the exact moment the blood drained from her face. It was like watching time-lapse photography of something dying, color fading from pink to white to gray in the space of a heartbeat. Her mouth opened slightly, a tiny "oh" of shock that I couldn't hear but could read on her lips. Her head snapped up, eyes scanning the restaurant like a security camera searching for threats. Left to right, methodical, desperate. I could practically see her mind racing. Who took this? When? How long have they been watching? Who else knows? I turned my gaze back to my untouched ribeye and picked up my fork like nothing in the world was wrong. The steak was cold now, congealed in its own juices, but I cut off a piece and chewed it mechanically. It tasted like cardboard, but I needed to look normal, calm, like a man enjoying a quiet dinner alone. Across the restaurant, I could hear urgent whispers, Bradford saying something sharp and low, Jessica's voice higher pitched than normal, stress bleeding through her attempt at control, the sound of chair legs scraping against marble as someone stood up quickly. I didn't look up. I kept eating my cold steak, sipping my Macallan, playing the role of a man who had no idea his wife was 20 feet away having the worst moment of her life. My phone buzzed, then again, then started ringing. I glanced at the screen. Jessica. Of course. I let it ring through to voicemail, then watched as message notifications started stacking up. Text after text after text, each one probably more frantic than the last. I didn't read them, not yet. Let her panic. Let her wonder. Let her feel even a fraction of the confusion and betrayal that was currently eating me alive from the inside. The server appeared beside my table. "How's everything tasting, sir? Can I get you anything else?" "Actually," I said, my voice steady and calm, "could I get the check? I need to head home." "Of course, right away." I didn't wait for her to find me in the crowd. I signaled for the server, laid 5 20s on the table without waiting for change, stood up, and slid my arms back into my jacket. The movement felt automatic, like I was operating on some kind of autopilot program that knew how to function when the main system had crashed. "You want a box for that, sir?" the server asked, gesturing at my barely touched meal. "No thanks," I said. My voice was perfectly steady now, businesslike, professional. "I've had enough." The blast of warm desert air when I pushed open the glass doors hit me like a wall. October in Phoenix, still warm enough that you didn't need a jacket, but cool enough that you could breathe again after the recycled air conditioning inside. I walked across the valet area to where the kid was already bringing my Audi around, tipped him $20, and climbed in. I didn't drive home. Instead, I pulled out of the Four Seasons and headed east, toward Papago Park and the little turnout where guys my age go to eat lunch in their trucks and pretend they're alone in the world, where men go to think when thinking becomes too dangerous to do around other people. I put the car in park, turned off the engine, and just sat there in the dark interior, watching the Phoenix skyline blur through a windshield that had somehow gotten foggy. The city lights looked different now, like I was seeing them through someone else's eyes. That night, I wasn't thinking about revenge or lawyers or who would get the house in Ahuatuki that we'd spent 3 years renovating together. I was thinking about how you go from coffee in the morning and church on Sundays to sitting in a cold car alone, realizing your wife has a whole different life when she says she's stuck late at work. I was thinking about how to breathe without feeling like my lungs were filled with concrete. I didn't sleep that night. I don't think I even tried. I just drove around Phoenix until dawn, watching the city wake up like nothing fundamental had changed in the universe. Around 7 in the morning, I finally went home. Jessica's Mercedes was already gone from the garage. No note, no explanation, nothing. Just the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the kitchen like evidence of a crime. But she'd left evidence everywhere else too. Her laptop, still open on the dining room table, screen unlocked because she'd never been careful about security at home. Why would she be? I was her husband. I was supposed to be the person she trusted most in the world. I spent the morning doing what I do best in my professional life, building a case. In equipment sales, you learn early that documentation saves your ass when deals go sideways. Every client interaction, every promise made, every dollar spent gets recorded, filed, cross-referenced. Evidence protects you when people try to rewrite history. This was just another deal gone sideways, the biggest deal of my life. Her Gmail was a treasure trove of stupidity. Hotel confirmations stretching back 8 months, dinner reservations at restaurants I'd never been to, credit card statements showing charges on her personal American Express, the one I never saw the bills for because she handled her own expenses. Jewelry stores, lingerie boutiques, wine bars in Scottsdale that catered to people with more money than sense. But the real smoking gun was buried in her email drafts folder, like a bomb she'd been too careful to detonate. A resignation letter from Pierce, Cross & Associates, dated for next month, mentioning her exciting opportunity to join Hamilton & Associates as senior marketing director. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning a complete life overhaul. New job, new man, new everything. All funded by the bonuses and client relationships she'd built while married to me, using the stability and support I'd provided for 12 years as a launching pad for her affair. The betrayal had layers like an onion, each one making me cry a little more. I printed everything, organized it chronologically in a 3-ring binder like I was preparing for the most important client presentation of my career. Photos, receipts, emails, calendar entries showing client dinners that were really romantic getaways. Screenshots of text message threads I found backed up to her iCloud account. The most damning evidence came from her iPhone's location services. She'd never turned them off because, again, why would she? I was her husband. But location services don't lie. While she was texting me about working late, her phone was pinging cell towers near the Four Seasons, the Phoenician, the Ritz-Carlton Dove Mountain, a trail of expensive hotels and romantic restaurants that told the story of an 8-month affair more clearly than any private investigator could have. By noon, I had everything I needed to destroy her professionally and personally, but something cold had settled inside me, something that felt less like rage and more like the methodical focus I brought to closing difficult sales. This wasn't about destroying her. This was about protecting myself. My phone had been buzzing all morning, 37 missed calls from Jessica, 42 text messages that progressed from panicked to angry to desperate to threatening. I read them all, but I didn't respond. Let her wonder. Let her panic. Let her experience the confusion and uncertainty that comes from having no idea where you stand with someone who used to be predictable. Around 2 in the afternoon, she finally came home. I heard the garage door open, her heels clicking across the kitchen tile, the sound of her purse hitting the granite countertop like punctuation at the end of a very long sentence. "Austin?" Her voice was careful, controlled, like she was negotiating with a suspicious client. "Are you here? We need to talk." I was in my home office, the evidence binder closed on my desk, my laptop open to a blank email. I'd been drafting my own resignation letter, not from my job, but from this marriage, this life, this version of myself that had been stupid enough to trust completely. "I'm in here," I called back. She appeared in the doorway a few seconds later, still in yesterday's black dress, but rumpled now, her makeup smeared like she'd been crying or rubbing her eyes. She looked smaller than I remembered, vulnerable in a way that might have moved me if I hadn't spent the morning cataloging the evidence of her systematic deception. "Austin, about last night," she started. I held up my hand, and she stopped talking immediately. Something in my expression, maybe, or in the way I was sitting behind my desk like a judge reviewing a case file. "Before you say anything," I said quietly, "I want you to know that I know everything, not just about last night, about all of it, 8 months worth." The color drained from her face again, just like it had in the restaurant. But this time, she couldn't pretend she didn't know what I was talking about. "How much is everything?" she whispered. I opened the binder and turned it toward her. 300 pages of printed evidence, organized by date, cross-referenced, highlighted in different colors like a legal brief. "Everything," I said quietly, flipping through pages like a prosecutor presenting evidence to a jury. "Hotel receipts, restaurant bills, text messages you thought were deleted, calendar entries, credit card statements, your resignation letter, your new job offer, location data from your phone. 8 months of lies, Jessica. 8 months of you building a new life while I was home thinking everything was fine." She sank into the chair across from my desk, like her legs had given out. For a moment, she looked like the woman I'd married 12 years ago, vulnerable, young, caught in something bigger than she knew how to handle. Then she straightened up, and I saw the calculation creep back into her eyes. "Austin, it's not what you think. It started as just work, just professional." "Stop." My voice was flat, businesslike. "I have screenshots of text messages where you call me the roommate. I have hotel bills where you charge champagne and strawberries to celebrate your 6-month anniversary with him. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending this was professional." She tried a different approach. "Okay, yes, but Austin, our marriage was already in trouble. We hadn't been happy for—" "I was happy," I interrupted. "I was completely happy. I was planning to surprise you for our anniversary next month. I had reservations at the resort in Sedona, where we honeymooned." I opened another section of the binder. "I have the confirmation email right here, if you'd like to see it." That broke her. She put her face in her hands and started crying, but it was the wrong kind of crying. Manipulation crying. Performance crying. The kind that was designed to make me feel guilty for discovering her betrayal instead of feeling betrayed myself. "What do you want?" she whispered through her fingers. "I want you to pack a bag and stay somewhere else tonight," I said. "Tomorrow, we'll meet with lawyers. You can have the divorce you've been planning anyway." She looked up sharply. "Austin, please. We can work through this. I'll quit my job. I'll never see Bradford again. I love you. I made a mistake, but I love you." I closed the binder and leaned back in my chair. "Jessica, you didn't make a mistake. You made 8 months of deliberate choices. You didn't slip and fall into another man's bed. You planned dinners, booked hotels, bought lingerie, and told me you were working late. You wrote a resignation letter and accepted a new job with his firm. You've been conducting job interviews for the position of my replacement." She started to argue, but I held up my hand again. "There's one more thing you should know," I said. "Pierce Cross and Associates is having their annual Christmas party next Friday. I assume you're planning to attend with Bradford." Her face went white. "How did you—" "Your calendar is synced to our shared iCloud account. Has been for 5 years." I smiled for the first time since this conversation started. "I'm going to be there too. Carl Morrison from Morrison Insurance invited me as his +1. He handles the firm's commercial policies." "Austin, no, please. My career? Should have thought about that before you decided to fuck your boss with company resources." The profanity felt good coming out of my mouth, sharp and clean and honest. She tried begging. She tried anger. She tried bargaining. She offered me half of everything, then 60%, then whatever I wanted. But I wasn't interested in negotiating with someone who'd already negotiated our marriage away behind my back. Friday night came with the kind of desert winter evening that makes you understand why people retire to Arizona. Clear, crisp, perfect for outdoor parties and career-ending revelations. The Pierce Cross and Associates Christmas party was held at the Phoenician Resort, in their main ballroom overlooking the golf course. Ice sculptures, champagne fountains, a jazz quartet playing standards, the whole elegant production you'd expect from a firm that bills $400 an hour. I arrived with Carl Morrison, both of us in our best suits, looking like successful businessmen celebrating another profitable year, which, technically, we were. Jessica was radiant in a red cocktail dress I'd never seen before, holding court with a group of associates near the champagne table. Bradford Pierce stood nearby, close enough to be part of her conversation, but not obviously connected to her. They were being discreet, professional, careful not to give their colleagues anything to gossip about. I spent an hour working the room with Carl, meeting partners, discussing business, playing the role of potential client. Several people mentioned how lovely Jessica was, what an asset she'd become to the firm, how lucky Bradford was to have recruited such talent. "She's remarkable," I agreed every time. "Bradford certainly knows quality when he sees it." Around 10 o'clock, the senior partner called for attention. Time for the annual awards ceremony. Recognition for outstanding achievement, dedication to the firm's values, that sort of thing. Bradford Pierce was called to the stage first, accepting applause for exceptional leadership in client development and strategic partnerships. He launched into a speech about commitment to excellence and professional integrity. I walked to the front of the room, not to the stage, but to the senior partners' table where the firm's leadership sat with their spouses. I carried a manila envelope, thick with documents. "Excuse me," I said quietly to the senior partner, Charles Cross. "I have something you need to see regarding tonight's award recipients." He looked puzzled, but took the envelope. I had organized everything for maximum impact. The restaurant photo on top, followed by hotel receipts charged to firm credit cards, email printouts discussing personal matters on company time, evidence of Jessica using firm resources to plan her exit strategy to a competitor. At the podium, Bradford was still talking about integrity and professional standards when Charles Cross opened the envelope and saw the photo of him kissing his married employee. The rest happened quickly. Whispered conversations at the leadership table, security quietly approaching Bradford at the podium, Jessica realizing something was wrong, her champagne glass trembling in her hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," Charles Cross announced, standing up with the kind of authority that comes from 40 years of courtroom experience. "I'm afraid we need to postpone the remainder of tonight's ceremony." The room fell silent except for the jazz quartet, who played on obliviously. Within 6 months, Bradford Pierce had resigned his partnership and moved to Seattle, where his reputation hadn't preceded him yet. Jessica found herself unemployed and unemployable at any major firm in Phoenix. Word travels fast in legal circles, especially when it involves ethics violations and misuse of firm resources. I was promoted to vice president of Western Sales 6 months after the divorce was finalized. I bought a house in Paradise Valley with a view of Camelback Mountain and no memories of betrayal. I learned that being alone isn't the same as being lonely when the solitude comes from choice rather than abandonment. Sometimes I drive past the Four Seasons and remember that October night, but it doesn't sting anymore. It reminds me that I'm the kind of man who doesn't panic when life goes sideways. I'm the kind of man who gathers evidence, builds a case, and executes a plan. And when the time comes, I serve justice cold.